But then the common root made me wonder, is this a harem game? In 1935, the 17-year-old Elitze gets a marriage proposal to marry the eldest son of a friend of her father, who is to inherit a restaurant. As a woman, she can't inherit her own family's restaurant, and thus sets off to the capital to prove her abilities as a restaurant owner. But not only does she get mistaken as a maid by the family, also the eldest son has no intention whatsoever to marry her, nor to inherit the restaurant. He gives her 1 year time to prove herself as a restaurant manager. Otherwise, he will turn the traditional house into a hotel. And on top of that, she has to deal with the 5 quirky sons and the 2 sisters of the family. And so her year of hard work in this unusual family begins. Shunsuke is the youngest son of the family, and like practically everyone in the family, he's a snobbish, self-conceited bully with a fan club. But actually he's not a bad guy. If he does something wrong, he will apologize. As he is so young, his story is about finding a place where he belongs. And despite their common past together, he is determined not to fall in love. What is this young boy troubling? I played Shunsuke first because voice and looks-wise, he was not really my type. Though he also voiced Noritsune in Bidoshana and Makino in Lover Pretend. But his root nevertheless managed to tell a really cute story about a boy who doesn't want to fall in love. And Shunsuke actually is a great guy. Though he might seem full of himself at first sight. He starts caring about her pretty quickly and proves he has a strong mind once he's made his decision. And his root felt almost bittersweet to me. Kosuke is the eldest son of the family who Ritsu is supposed to marry, and officially stays engaged with as long as she works at the restaurant. He seems calm at the outside, but actually is angered really easily, and he yells a lot for every stupid reason. She forgot the birthday of a customer she doesn't know. He yells. She trips. He yells. She sneezes. He yells. His root is about his struggle wanting to fulfill his own dream of managing an hotel, but also growing to like the family restaurant and starting to treasure it and her. I would really like to say that behind his hard and angry shell is a soft core. And yes, he sometimes shows his soft side, but as he has no access to his feelings, he doesn't understand his own actions. He's a very rational man who solely acts upon reason and cannot sort his emotions out. And so he doesn't admit to his feelings and needs a lot of help from the other brothers so that his actions finally match up with his feelings. But until the end, he's convinced that marriage has nothing to do with love and he could never love a useless girl like her. I'm not a big fan of angry guys, and even less if they don't understand their own feelings, so I had a hard time believing his love story. But if you love cold-hearted tsunderes, voiced by the same voice actor as Lucas in Shuo no Bish or Lighter in Diabolic Lovers, then I'm sure you will love his root. Yusuke is a calm and mysterious man who falls in love with her quicker than you can say family restaurant. But again, he doesn't notice as he is generally too busy with his work, though no one knows what his actual work is, and has a strong control over his emotions. He also is a man of reason. So in order to find out whether he's in love, he has to run tests and experiments and analyze himself. This guy was such a tough nut to crack. Again, the whole family helped out, trying to make him realize his feelings, but this time around I enjoyed it a lot more. All scenes with Yusuke are either extremely romantic, because he's willing to go all in for his tests, or hilarious, as he is, to no surprise, not able to rationalize his feelings, and thus often is at loss at what to do. But as soon as this late bloomer tastes some love, there's nothing to stop him anymore. And his root has the most horrible first kiss scene ever. But it turned out it was even worse for Yusuke, and the whole family then got angry at the MC for stealing his first kiss. It was a mess. So that's what his root feels like. Hilarious and sweet. And he also voices Hideo in Chonodoku. Could the autistic astronomy researcher Sosuke be even more hilarious? Yes, he can. This poor boy has a severe condition. Whenever a woman comes close to him, he has difficulty breathing, so every girl needs to stay away from him at least 3 steps. But he soon finds out his condition doesn't seem as severe when he's together with the MC. So again, the MC is victim to a crazy, slightly emotionally underdeveloped researcher who hacks her in a series of trials in order to cure his illness. And once he's felt this woman's body, he is strangely captivated by it. This is Yusuke's root doubled. Even more underdeveloped guy becomes even more horny once he came into contact with a woman, but doesn't understand what would be wrong about thinking and articulating how good her body feels. I mean, you really can't believe this guy. How can he say things like that so unashamedly? Well, while others went through puberty, he dealt with his social anxieties. And I love me a socially awkward scientist. Guess that's my favorite trope now. But as astronomy is not really big in Japan at that time, he thinks about studying abroad. And I loved his route so much, it was even more surreal than Yusuke's. And again, once love awakened in him, he became such a needy man, who I decided is too good for the MC because she did some really stupid things in his route. And the voice actor of Henry in Pure Fiore or Akito in Club voiced this lovable retard splendidly. So much I might almost think he might be my favorite character, but... Lastly, Kyosuke is a cook at the rival restaurant and the only one who treats Ritsu nice and respectfully from the beginning. He even dines with her in the kitchen, since as a servant, she is not allowed to dine with the others in the dining room. Unlike the others, he is a guy who has his heart on his tongue and gets easily flustered and quickly takes an interest in her. These two also feel the most alike with different troubles at their jobs. They can share each other's worries and understand each other almost without words. In that sense, they might have the best chemistry. But then he also gets a marriage proposal he cannot decline. A bit similar to Shunsuke, his route is also about carving one's own path in life, instead of it being dictated by others. But both have no real self-confidence to stand up for their feelings and their own choices, so it almost takes them a year of struggle to finally stick to their decisions. While Kyosuke was overall the sweetest character, his self-doubts stopped the route from progressing midway, so he started overly romantic, but slowed down at the end. Nevertheless, I liked Kyosuke a lot, with his bright, charming and honest character, who might look scary at first glance, but turns out to be a selfless teddy bear you want to hug. And I really wish you would hear his voice actor more often. The only otome game I could find where he voices a main character was Noise, Voice of Snow. Don't know that one. Guess I have to play it now. I know I normally grant the most sexy award for one of the LIs, but this time I can't. I think Shunsuke has the most sexy scenes, just judging from these CGs. Yusuke has the most romantic scenes. Sosuke has the scenes with the most physical contact. And Kyosuke has the most emotional scenes. Yeah, I think I love them all. Maybe Yusuke wins, but don't make me choose. I know, I'm just gonna give the award to Jiro, because I want to date this Kansai band flirt. What stands out about this game is the exceptionally long common route, which took me twice as long as each character route. Also, there are some scenes in the character routes which are same in each playthrough. Overall, I would say it's a rather long game, which took me more than 70 hours, though I took my sweet time with it, looking up a lot of words and listening to each voiced line. And the main focus is the slice of life restaurant setting, though it has a little underlying plot, and that exact plot is what causes the repeated scenes in the character routes. You can easily skip read. It's mostly character driven and focuses a lot on the romance aspects. Yay! The game is filled with cute scenes and even cuter CGs, while you try to make these dense boys understand what love is. The scenes are not at all steamy, but still don't lack intensity or some illusions here and there, and they made me scream a lot. But that said, you could also think that the routes feel a bit samey, as the 5 love interests are brothers and share one common character trait: the denseness. They just don't understand their feelings, though they fall in love practically in the common route, which made the common route almost feel like a harem, but I'm not complaining. But it takes almost the whole character route until they finally understand their feelings. The only exception is Kyosuke, but all the other guys are rational, emotionally underdeveloped, thick heads, with no grasp of their own feelings. And you'll see a lot of lines like, "I don't understand why I invited you." But for me that didn't feel annoying at all, as each character was more dense than the other, which made it a joy for me to watch their confusion in every route. So the romance level was high in my opinion. And I really appreciate dating mature looking grown-ups, especially in their nightgowns. But that also means you have some considerable age gaps, considering the MC is 17 or 18 and the eldest brother is 30. But taking the time period into account, that is nothing too much out of the ordinary and you don't really notice the age gap, except that the youngest brother and the MC tend to act a bit more childish sometimes. Still, there was a little plot going on, which thickened in the last month of each character route. Though it wasn't bad, I have the feeling that you could have elaborated on some of the events or behind the scenes events a bit more. There are good concepts, but they didn't feel as fleshed out as, for example, in Nilad Mirari no Tenbin, where with each route you discover more secret about the side characters until you finally reveal the whole net of side characters and hidden motives. Here I couldn't quite grasp the hidden plot and wish I had learned more about the side and main characters and how they are connected to this little plot. And then on the other hand, the plot only happened in the last month of each character route. But to me it had such an impact that everything what happened before felt a bit useless. Because it implies such a change for their lives. I didn't really even want to think about it. And especially one character's good ending felt really bittersweet because of that, because I couldn't believe they will find their happiness. But at the same time, the bitter taste of some endings fits the tone of the game, which is slice of life, but has a very realistic feel to it, be it the love progression or what happens overall. It's realistic in the best and worst possible sense of the word. The love progressions were extremely relatable, yet the characters didn't become totally unrealistic in their expectations. They still struggle to juggle multiple responsibilities and are no heroes who could do anything, like defying society or social pressure just for love. I don't doubt they love each other, but the game also emphasizes that love might not be your only goal in life and that the characters might have other aspirations or duties as well. And then lastly, the plot of the end of each route brings you totally down to earth, conveying that the light-hearted restaurant slice of life can't go on forever. And the same goes for the heroine. She is realistic in the worst and best sense of the word. She's relatable in her insecurities, but seeing her run away over and over from her responsibilities or fear of failure, it was a bit frustrating at times. And yeah, but then I stopped counting how many times she ran away because I was apparently playing Running Away Simulator. So she's very passive and lets things happen to her. And for me that was difficult to understand at times. Why did she run away yet again? Why can't she face her problems? Why does she let herself eat up by her negative thoughts? And she's exceptionally bad in communicating. Not only her feelings, but also like normal, simple day-to-day problems, where she'd rather sulk or run away instead of facing her problems directly. These made some conflicts feel a bit unnecessary, but to no extent I ended up disliking her. She's just not a very strong heroine, nor a very competent store manager. In that regard, I like the heroine of Hanayaka Nari Waga Ichizoku a bit better, who was a much more bullied maid, but still never let herself be depressed and always kept her head up high. And speaking of Hanayaka, Tengai Nimao is a bit of a spiritual successor to the Hanayaka series, which has a base game, a free and a sequel. Tengai Nimao also includes small mini-games, just like Hanayaka Nari Waga Ichizoku, like cooking, cleaning and watching stars, but they are not mandatory and for me also too dull. So I'd rather go talk to the LI for an unvoiced conversation, because I'd rather have an unvoiced conversation with the LI instead of sacrificing that time to play a minigame. And Tengai Nimao makes a habit of giving the characters of Hanayaka some cameo appearances and joking about what happened in the base game, with big spoilers. So if you plan to play Hanayaka, which I would say is overall the better game, so you should play it sooner or later, then play it first, at least the base game, and play Tengai Nimao afterwards, if you're like me and can't get enough from the setting, characters and art style. Because the art style was really what got me interested in Tengai Nimao. It has the same artist as Cupid Parasite, no Lilac, and Café Enchanté, which means I'm gonna play Café Enchanté sooner or later. And I just love that art style. I think you can see most similarities to Cupid Parasite, which was released 2 years later. And especially how she draws the noses. It's kind of fascinating for me. I love her noses. From the color palette, the CGs are more similar to Hanayaka Nari though. But each and every one of them is so romantic and kind of hot. I don't know. Is it because I love her art style so much? I think she also drew some of the few games where you can actually date mature looking grown-ups. And I love it so much. Did I mention I love her art style? So every CG feels immensely meaningful and satisfying. The music was okay, definitely on the better side, though nothing that made me hum. The quality criteria for music, yeah. Except for the opening. You have to listen to it. I think it almost slams as good as Cupid Parasite's opening. Mark my words. And that means something. I listened to it so much while waiting for the package to arrive until I could finally unbox it in my unboxing video. It's amazing! Love the art. Did I say that? Did I say that already? Probably due to the setting, I would say the language difficulty is about an upper intermediate level. The characters tend to speak quite formal, so it's a good opportunity to learn some polite Japanese. As well as, for example, scientific terms in Sosuke's route or some political terms when it comes to the plot. I definitely learned a lot in this route and love reminiscing about the scenes when I see the screenshots in my Anki cards. Never was learning so much fun. For me personally, Tengai ni Mao is a hidden gem, as it is by one of my favorite artists. And I personally had a lot of fun with all these dance characters and late bloomers who then became totally smitten with the MC as soon as love awakened in them. But I could see how this concept could also feel a bit samey to others, be it that reoccurring character trait or the common scenes in the character roots. Though normally I'm not the biggest slice of life fan, I guess this unique setting with the restaurant in the 30s made it more interesting to me. And then of course that the main focus of the game was the love progression with these weirdos. Being on the longer side, the game nevertheless took the time to give side characters and warm family interactions enough room, so you could witness how Ritsu helped these oddballs grow closer as a family. Yet I would say, in most aspects, Hanayaka Nari Waga Ichizoku is still the better game, so you should check that out before you play Tengai ni Mao. But nevertheless, Tengai ni Mao gave me plenty to laugh, plenty to swoon, and with plenty of cute scenes fulfilled all my otome needs in this uniquely realistic fashion.